Welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Thank you friends for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. The first story. High school student challenges their strict German teacher's bathroom policy, highlighting their diabetes condition. The second story. Boss takes credit for my monthly report. She looks like a fool when she cannot answer questions. The third story. Micromanaging boss faces consequences when an employee's meticulous log exposes their unreasonable demands. The first story is, stay until I say otherwise, okay? So this story takes place around 98 to 2000 while I'm in high school. A few things first. Me equals who else? GT equals German teacher. OT equals other teacher. P equals principal. Sadly, there's always that one or two kids in your class that ruins it for the rest. Mine is no exception, and after a month or two, my GT gets tired of people texting in class, playing on their calculator, TI 86 to 90s, and a few you would think got a bad diabetes since they needed the toilet 3 to 4 times over a period of 90 minutes, that 2 lections last here. This day starts as any other except when the first few people ask to go to the toilet, the answer is no. Not a problem, the usual suspects that would go and talk on their phone anyways, I think. Halfway through the lecture I can feel I need to go. I am diabetic, by the way. Me. Excuse me, GT. GT. No. Me. Well, it's gonna be a mess in here shortly then. GT. No. Means no. No more fake toilet breaks to anyone this time. Me. I'm diabetic. I kinda can't help it. It's summer and warm and we drink a lot, so GT. No. Stay till I say otherwise. Now, I can hold it in for a while, but I've been strictly told not to by my doctor recently. Hence why I asked to go use the toilet. Also, this is fair from the only thing GT is angry about. I should also mention she doesn't like me at this point since she'd already been warned by P not to break any laws and punish us accordingly to rules. Another story for later. So I sit quietly studying and the wheel starts turning. Stay until I say otherwise. Okay then, malicious compliance it is then. Lecture ends and GT is as usual a bit short-sighted and just takes her bag and says bye to calls. No, you're all dismissed or enjoy your break. So I sit and don't move. Next lecture begins in another classroom. A few friends look at me but don't give it a thought. I decide to at least spend my time doing this week's homework. 65 minutes later, OT pops head out in the hallway and spots me still sitting in the other classroom. OT, you, hey. Me, hey. Continues to work. OT walks into the classroom I'm in. OT, why you not in class? Me, because I'm told to stay and don't move unless told specifically by GT. OT, come on, that's me. Nope, I'm sorry, I really can't go to your class unless she says otherwise. I've already been threatened with warnings. Not to mention my last grade mystically dropped 2 grades down, I'm sorry. OT, I'll be back in a moment. OT proceeds to get P and inform him on the way what's going on while they come back to me. I might add this happens in a very small area of school. My classroom is at the end of this short hallway. The next lection is next door, and P's office is around the corner at the end of the hallway. P, what's she done now? Clearly he ain't amused, but tries nonetheless with a smile. Me, well, I do know for a fact some kids in my class sneak out to do phone calls sometimes and use the toilet visit as an excuse. But still, GT told a few no, loud and clearly, and when I really had to go at the time, I was ordered to stay until she specifically gave me permission to move. And I don't want my grades getting any lower, because I know the rules better and follow them than she does, sadly. P looks at OT and tells him to go get GT. 3 minutes later, I can literally hear GT stopping her shoes from 100 to 200 meters away in the hallway. GT does not look amused. GT, what is it now with you again this time? P, did you prohibit the students in your class to use the toilet, including me? GT, yes, they keep going away from class for 15 to 30 minutes before they come back. And P, stop it please. GT, P, me, please go join the others. Me, I wish, but I have to go home to see my doctor now. They all stare at me. Me, as you all perfectly know, I have diabetes and holding yourself for hours on end ain't healthy, and I've been told I can't do that, but yeah, so I must excuse myself for the rest of the day to visit my doctor, so he can check nothing bad has happened because of this. I pick up my jacket and bag and wish all 3 a good day and starts walking. GT, it can't be that bad for one time. I spin apparently so fast around it startles them a bit. Or perhaps they're afraid I might snap. I haven't yet on this school. Forgot to tell I'm not a small guy either. 202 centimeters, 6.6 feet tall, and 118 kilograms, 216 pounds. Me, holding it in for hours, I quote my doctor. In short term, it can cause infections, high blood pressure, kidney problems. Long term, erectile dysfunction, kidneys stop working and you die. So if death is not important beside not being able to finish any school while sick 3 out of 5 school days, I guess it ain't bad. And yes, I'm doing the hand quotes while saying it, copying GT's tone of voice. I'm peeved. Utter silence from all GT, OT, and P. I just walk away, but then I just can't help myself. Looks back. Me. Grow the F up, GT, and stop punishing me with bad grades because you don't like me. Or should I spend my wait time at the doctor filing a report about that as well now I'm at it? Plus child endangerment if the doctor finds an infection now? P. Nope, no problem. Me, I will take care of this once and for all. OT is already heading back into class, not much time left. I say hi while I pass the door to many classmates' confusion. GT is being scolded badly by P. Not to mention he slammed the door so hard it almost fell off the hinges. I can hear P yell like 100 meters away from the classroom. Oof. 40-minute train and walk later, I'm at the doctor's office and tells what happens to the receptionist, and then tell her I need a nurse, blood sample as usual when I get my checkup, and an in-between short visit with Doc. It's not a problem and surprisingly one hasn't showed up, so there's a whole 40 minutes later. Sometimes you can wait 3 to 5 hours when no appointment. Doc ain't too happy when I tell him this, but he can see my point though. And I didn't get any infections, though I did feel rather uncomfortable a day or two. Well, at least I could use the toilet whenever I wanted for the rest of my 3-year high school. Edit. Yes, I did take a quick wee as I left school. Was no problem. Get a bit out 45 to 60 minutes later at the dock. Also, I'm a big teddy bear. I'm usually not this aggressive, I might add. I've learned since then to stand up for myself more often. The second story is, don't hurt the hand that feeds you. I'm working for a pretty big company. Lots of departments. Lots of we are the best talk. And we really are. Core values are followed pretty well and major issues get dealt with quite well, apart from my boss who can call Gail. She's a micromanager to say the least, and a workaholic who expected you to do a lot, but never outside of your normal shift, since she thought OT was the devil for us hourly workers. The first MC was Gail tasking me with this monthly report to hand up the chain to Mandy, who was a pretty big deal. The report was intensive and very in-depth, so it took a lot of unpaid OT to learn and get it down. Gail did not appreciate it and questioned what I was doing as to why it was taking so long. More on this later, as learning something out of my scope was not too appropriate. Myself and Mandy got to know each other well and developed a great working relationship, which certainly benefited me as much as it could. We were generations and countries apart, no romantics. Gail found out Mandy was asking me questions about my sites, and for some reason didn't take too kindly and informed me that any and all communication from myself to Mandy must go through her, Gail, including this report. Thankfully, Gail has a company-wide reputation for being a bit cray-cray, so I could hear Mandy roll her eyes on the phone the first time Gail sent her the report rather than I. I had told Mandy that Gail knew very little about this report, especially the most important part, and 2 specific questions would likely have her forward those questions to me to answer. So of course those 2 very specific questions were brought, but not by email, but rather on a big call of bigwigs just as I happened to step out of the office, and was unable to field quick questions from Gail over the computer. And the feedback was nothing but a roasting for Gail, as she had of course said the report was hers initially, and thus the report was taken away from Gail and I altogether. This upset Gail, so she hammered back why I didn't do other work while I was learning this report. 6+ months had passed, and I had it down to an absolute science that took no time updating, and asked me to begin logging everything I do every day. Due to other factors in this job, HR was already looped in on everything that was going on between Gail and I, so this was as well. As you can already guess, the long story short is this log was filled out to the minute, after every task, phone call, or anything I did, including time for filling out the log. The amount of detail I put in for this log, Gail wanted as much detail as possible, allowed for me to actually spend 2 to 3 minutes filling out this log for even the smallest task of a passerby at my office door, asking me a quick yes or no question. I loved it. This unfortunately didn't allow me to complete all my normal tasks daily. And by the end of the first week, I had quite the pile of additional work. Gail, myself, and HR got on a call to discuss all this after the week, and HR obviously sided with me and told Gail to either push work off to me to someone else, or get rid of this log that showed I was skipping breaks. Good thing I wrote the log. These weekly calls also got myself a separate payment for an estimated but realistic amount of unpaid OT, due to the first paragraph in another project. Good guy, HR. Despite HR making my life a lot easier, Gail did not. So I made the decision to switch departments entirely. Zero carryover. Within 2 months of my switch, this entire department was functionalized with a few other departments, due to creating a better balance of work to employee. Changing the job scope of all my former colleagues entirely, and coincidentally rendering Gail's job useless. She was pushed to a special projects role for a year, where special projects then magically ended, and she was let go. My new manager likes to send emails out of those under him who were promoted. She was able to see 2 of those with my name on it, the second just days before her final one. Edit. Did you go to Gail's going away party if she had one? That would require someone wanting her to be a part of the celebrations. We all knew when her exit review was happening. Unfortunately, my new boss made sure I wasn't near. Shame. I wouldn't have said a thing, Just held the door open for her to make sure she's gone for good. The third story is, accept all returns and never make store goal. Got it. This happened over 4 years ago, but after telling a friend, she suggested that I post here to share. I used to work for a retail company that was pretty small. They sold women's clothing. Since it was a pretty low volume location, their goals were often very low on some days, $80 to $1,200. We had very little foot traffic, and this wasn't always an easy goal. This is important later. As many people in retail know, there are many returns that are made daily, and this can impact your goal at the end of the day. Also, many people make a living of buying things online at one price and repurchasing the same items online once they go on sale. Once they purchase the new items at the lower price, the shopper will come into the physical store to return all the items from their initial online purchase. This is allowed and is a very well-known practice. It's pretty obvious to the cashier what's happening because there are multiple online receipts and large amounts of products being returned. This is also a long process and results in hundreds of dollars being returned. I had one woman who would do this constantly, and everyone on our team knew what was going on when she came in with her huge bag of returns. Let's call her Maggie Lou. As an assistant manager, I would often attempt to salvage the return by suggesting new items for exchange, so our store wouldn't take the hit of this large return. I guess this was very annoying to Maggie Lou, and she would get physically annoyed every time I asked or suggested we could exchange her product for another size, or find her a new outfit. So much so that Maggie Lou ended up complaining to my boss about me. After this complaint, my boss scolded me and told me to just accept all returns since it doesn't come out of my paycheck. And all I needed to do was add all the customer's info to the system, so the company has a record of the return. The company will handle it from there. On to the malicious compliance. One day I'm the only assistant manager working, and my manager is bombarding me with messages all day asking for an update on where we are at our goal. An hour before the store closes, we hit our goal, and my manager is extremely excited. On comes in Maggie Lou with her bag of returns. She came in super smug knowing I was just gonna do her return and let her go. I didn't fight it at all. I did it with a smile on my face because my boss told me to just do it, since it doesn't come out of my paycheck. Our goal that day was around $1,000. We made just by the skin of our tails. Maggie Lou's return was a little over $1,200. Due to Maggie Lou's return, our store ended up in the negative for the day. Not my problem, not my paycheck. The next day, my boss wrote a long email to our district manager, letting her know what happened and explaining why we shouldn't be allowed to make those returns at our store, or that online returns should only be done online. She even showed it to me as though she was doing me a favor having my back. We still had to do returns, and that woman kept coming back to our store and ruining our goal every day she came in. Edit. It may not have affected you, but wouldn't meeting goals affect the manager's bonus? Yes, it does. It actually affected all of our bonuses because our job gave us incentive points to use through their rewards programs for different gifts. If we don't make our month's goal, it's pretty much crap for everyone. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know when the new video comes out, and hit the like button to support the channel.